Well, yeah, so thank you very much for coming on. Obviously, as I said, we'll be catching up. You're going to be our first overseas guest. And yeah, I'm very excited. And you're running a really interesting challenge as well, which I cannot wait to dive into. And yeah, already just from catching up briefly before this, there's a lot of great things I think that we're going to talk about. So thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me, and I look forward to a really interesting conversation.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So for the audience listening, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the challenge, and then we'll sort of dive into that a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Michael. I run a social media brand called Keys to the Jungle. I am based in the US near Los Angeles, the better part of California than Los Angeles, but I'm kind of known for all sorts of different viral content on social media, mostly on Instagram. And this year I am working on an interesting challenge to try and drive 365 different cars in 365 days. So that's kind of the brief overview about me and what I'm up to.
Yeah, I mean, that challenge, it sounds quite complicated, but quite exciting. So how far are you into the challenge at the minute?
Oh yeah, it's a logistical nightmare for sure. I've driven about 130 cars or so. I've posted just over 120 of them. We're 190 days into the year now, so I have a little bit of catching up to do. But kind of helps on weekends when everybody's out and driving already, so I can just pop in, pop out, and get through it. But yeah, a lot of different cars and a lot of logistics.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely dive into some of the logistics because, yeah, I dread to think. I dread to think about some of the challenges there. But what made you, I suppose, want to start this challenge then? Because it sounds like quite the commitment, and it's massive. Like, it's a big task, a big challenge for sure.
Yeah, there was actually a lot of thinking that went into it. Wasn't quite as random as I initially told people that it was. So this actually dates back to 2022.
Oh, right.
I guess even earlier than that, per se. So the end of 2021, I had a video go mega viral. It got 90 million views on Instagram. It got 36 million views on TikTok. It was just like a 6-second video of a friend of mine putting his phone on Alex Choi's Lamborghini Huracan project. And it was right after he wrapped it, this color-changing thing, and he had a wireless phone charger thing on it. And so after that, I was like thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm getting all this attention with this, but like, how can I do like one-up that, right? And so in 2022, I gave myself a different kind of challenge, which was I'm going to try and go to 365 different car events in a year, which is even harder logistically than driving cars.
Yeah.
But that being said, I only posted stories about it of like just the tally of each event and like proof that I went to each event. But I ended up making it to 300 events that year.
Wow.
But I didn't make specific content about it, and I was kind of kicking myself afterwards because it's like, that would have been so cool, right? Like, if you look at the rise of how like individuals have blown up on TikTok specifically, it's like that would have fit in so perfect with the rise of TikTok, and I was kind of kicking myself afterwards. And I was looking back at it, and I'm like, well, why didn't I do that? And it's funny because I actually have another company called Victory Club, and it's kind of like an agency type company that connects brands with freelancers.
Right.
That do like video production and stuff like that. And so that company blew up while I was going to all these car events, right? And it was kind of like one kind of went hand in hand with the other, because I'd go to more car events, people would ask what I'm doing, I'd show them these cool opportunities that I was doing outside of making content for myself, and then that would land more clients, and then I just never prioritized myself in that whole process. And so a couple years later, I was like, hey, I should probably prioritize myself. Like, the other company's doing fine as it is. Let me take what I built with Keys to the Jungle and make sure that it stays relevant. And so I was like, what kind of ideas can I do? And I actually was like, what if I just drove a bunch of different cars throughout the year, since I don't have a ton of experience driving cars. And I happen to be dating someone that owns a dealership, and so I'm under her insurance policy, which would never work in the UK, but like it works here. And so it all kind of worked out perfectly, and like all the stars aligned, and I just set out to just drive a whole bunch of different cars. And I'm like, this time I'm going to make content about it, make it fun and interesting, and show like what actually goes on in my brain when making content, and then use that to produce all the other business stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps having a partner who's having those connections to a dealership, for sure. And too many complications for anything like that to work in this country. I think it would be much worse.
Yeah, because I've talked with Tim Schmee about it, and he's just like, the complications of driving any of my cars in the UK is nearly impossible. And so it was kind of funny though, because he had one of his cars in Miami. I actually drove that early on in the series, but to actually drive anything over there is just like not even a question unless I'm on private roads.
Yeah, if you're on a track or a private road, private property is usually the answer, which is why whoever uploads anything that may be slightly questionable, donuts or burnouts, there's always a disclaimer that it's on a private road, and 90% of the time it's definitely not. So that's how we get around it. But it sounds super interesting. So tell me more about Shmee's car then that you drove in Miami. What was that?
That was his Mustang Dark Horse. And it was funny because I went out to the car and I forgot it was manual, and I'm like, I can't really film a video by myself with a manual car, it's just too complicated. And so, because I kind of had to teach myself to drive manual with this driving series, like it's not a thing in the US. Like everywhere else in the world, like everyone learns how to drive manual, but here it's like not a thing, right? And so I'd already driven like 10 or 15 different manual cars at this point, so I was comfortable to not mess up his car. And and like it was just so funny. So then I had to go fetch someone, and I'm like, hey, you need to help me film this. And then hopped in his car, and I was like, I mean, these new manual transmission cars are basically fancy automatic, so it's like not even a big deal. But it was fun. It was different because like it's interesting driving someone else's car that is such a public figure, especially at a car event like Tim, because they see the car and they're like, oh my god, it's Shmee. And then I roll the window down and I'm like, hi guys, I'm Keys, right? And it was just like so funny.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, wow, that sounds amazing. And I can imagine that the swap in transmissions took a bit of getting used to. But yeah, I mean, what did that feel like then, sort of driving around in a car that was, as you say, such a public figure and well known?
Yeah, that's definitely like, just driving in other people's cars is interesting in its own aspect, because one, it's like when you hop in a car that's not yours, there's this spatial awareness that you have to grasp into very quickly to feel comfortable driving the car, right? So, whether it's, I guess you guys say hire cars, but a rental car over here, it takes probably 15 minutes before you really get comfortable sitting in it and driving it. You have to move the seats and the mirrors and this and that and whatever. And so when you're on like a time crunch, it gets a little bit more stressful. And the more cars you drive, the more doable it is. But I mean, his car was the fourth car that I drove that day. Drove a bunch of different Mercedes earlier, and so it was like the overall progression of cars that day was like, I think it was like an S-Class Maybach, then a Mercedes E60, then the newest G-Wagon, and then that car. And so it was like big luxury car, smaller sport car, big SUV, and then this sport car. And so just getting comfortable in it is one thing, and then you have the pressure of, okay, well, this guy makes his income off of a car like this, so I have to be extra careful with it. And then you have all the people noticing you on the road, and they're like trying to get pictures and other stuff. And so, because I had to drive, like, I mean, he was parked right in the middle of the event, so it was like a lot of different moving parts. And so it's kind of funny because people ask like, oh, why haven't you offloaded your editing to someone else? And it's like, sometimes it's fun to just go and relive the experience because it was so much pressure while you're doing it that like, when you step out of it and actually see it afterwards, you're like, wow, okay, this is what happened.
Yeah, you can almost enjoy it a bit more, right? Like when you're not panicking so much, like you say, and there's so many different things going on, it'd be quite overwhelming experience, I imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This whole year's been overwhelming.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny that you've driven those other cars as well on that same day. I mean, that's quite a jump around. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, obviously finishing with that must be one of the highlights in this sort of journey and this challenge that you've done so far, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, all sorts of different things in this challenge.
Yeah, and so, I mean, in terms of, I suppose, other highlights as well then, so what, I suppose, notable moments right off the top of your head that that you've enjoyed particularly? I mean, I can imagine, again, that experience was up there, but, you know, in terms of any other cars that you've driven, anything that was particularly, you know, quite rare, expensive, or you know, another public car or anything like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were two moments that really stand out that I have told a lot of different people about. The first one is for my birthday. I got to drive the world record Koenigsegg Agera RS,
Wow.
which is just crazy, right? Like just the number of different things that had to line up for that to happen is just crazy, right? The car happens to be 15 minutes away from where I live.
Oh, nice.
I happen to know the like collection manager for it. I happen to be trusted enough to have a relationship for several years with this person in order to have him comfortable enough to know that I would respect the car and not do anything to it. Happened to be just before the car needed to be serviced, so he didn't really care if the car was driven, you know, maybe not in excess, but, you know, extra miles on it and whatnot. And like a whole bunch of other things to line up, but it's so hard to explain to someone what it's like to drive a car that some say is worth at least $10 million.
That was going to be my question. How did that feel?
Yeah, and I mean, it's borderline vulgar to say, but it's like the exact same experience as losing your virginity, right? Because like the whole experience, to just put this in terms that people can understand, is you're like, when you're in the passenger seat or driver's seat and you like put the car in gear and you're like, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, and then you just put your foot down and the car starts moving, you're like, it's happening, right? And it's like, there's no other way to explain it. But the car, like, you could feel it has so much power that's not really like tapped into, because I didn't go super fast with it. I was going maybe 60 miles per hour. But like, just the whole experience is like, it's so surreal. So that one was definitely a highlight. But then there was another one that was like totally on the opposite end of the spectrum of cars that was also a highlight, which was driving an ambulance on the road. So
wow.
Like who really gets to drive an ambulance in the first place, right? And it was interesting because it was like a friend's dad that works for the company, and he's like, yeah, let's do this, like, why not? And the thing that was so strange to me is they just let me take the car out on the road. Like, they weren't with me or anything. It was just me and a friend filming me, and like the just the whole experience was it was just, that was another surreal one, because it's like you see, well, at least here you see ambulances on the road all the time, and now it's just like every time I see one I'm like, I drove that. So yeah, those are kind of two highlight experiences.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, even driving an ambulance is totally illegal in this country unless you're permitted to do so. Like, it's the differences are, yeah, the differences are crazy. I mean, and obviously driving the Koenigsegg as well. So how long were you able to sort of get behind the wheel of the Koenigsegg and, you know, drive that around?
Let's see, how long was I driving for? Probably 10 minutes or so. And so the story behind it was funny. So I ran into the guy at a boat show of all places, and like not even car event, just boat. And he was like, "So when are you taking out Ruthie?" And I was like, "I didn't know that was an option." Yes, as soon as possible. I'm like, my birthday's in 3 weeks, and he's like, "Just steal it, whatever." And I was like, I'm gonna take this literally. And so I grabbed like one of those robber masks, and I pulled up to the place, and at like 9:15 at night, and we set up the whole thing with him where it looked like I actually stole the car, like a heist. And so I guess that was part of the tricky part about driving the car, because it was like I don't really want to drive it with a ski mask on, especially because I wear glasses. So that plus glasses or without glasses is dangerous. So then I was like, okay, I got to remove the cover now that the car has been successfully stolen. And then I went on probably a 3-4 mile drive. So we kind of just did a big loop twice. But it's just like, you can't trust anybody else on the road when you're in a car like that. You're so paranoid that someone's going to hit you or something's going to happen. So it's a little scary, honestly.
Yeah, but I mean, the experience, it must, again, to your point, right, it must, like, it's so difficult to put into words and even begin to imagine, you know, what that would feel like. You know, you say it was the world record-breaking car as well. You know, so, you know, you think of the limited number of people that have sat in that seat, right? It must be quite the exclusive club. So to be a part of that is not only a massive accomplishment, but it's really amazing.
Yeah, and it was funny because that was back in May, and then if I go back to October the year before, I'd actually ridden passenger in the car, and that was like a surreal experience, right? Because it was like being so involved in the hypercar world for so long. So a lot of these people, they just assume that I've been in everything and just ridden around or driven whatever. And I'm like, I really have just been not really, like, I don't ask owners to take me around and stuff or even shoot the cars. Like, if I see them, cool, but besides that, you know, I'm not one to ask for a lot of favors or anything. Like, I'm here to make content to provide for people and not really inconvenience people. And so, but a lot of them think I've been in these cars all the time. And so when I first told him I'd never ridden in a Koenigsegg, like, he completely thought it was a joke. He's like, "You're joking." And like, he's kind of a bit of a prankster as it is. And so like him to not take it seriously was just kind of funny. Cause then I wasn't sure if he was joking or not too. But I was like, I'm dead serious. Like, I've never been in this car before. And well, he's like, "Well, I gotta take you out." And so I gave him a 3 out of 5 Uber rating. And
only a 3 out of 5. Oh no.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, it was a bit bumpy. The car made weird noises, all that sort of stuff.
Car was too fast.
But yeah, the whole thing was funny. But then he offered me that, and it's just like totally different world. So it's crazy. I'm like going through all the cars on the list in my head while we're talking to see what else I'm missing. Fortunately, I posted the leaderboard the other day, so there's some other stuff that's been good on here. I mean, I gave a Toyota Prius a 10 because of the memes, but that car is terrible.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing you ended with that. It's terrible. As I say, that's the 10 rating's quite controversial, I'm sure. Raise some eyebrows.
Gave a couple cars a 0 rating. That's true.
Okay.
So that might be interesting.
0 rating, yes.
my rating system is completely arbitrary, right? So that makes it even funnier because people are like, what was that rating for? I'm like, it felt like a 2 point whatever today. And people are like, you're so harsh with your ratings. I'm like, I don't know. It's just the overall experience, right? If I go from like, you know, a Koenigsegg to like a Toyota Camry the next day, like the Camry is going to feel even worse than the bad experience that I know it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because of the day before. So, but the 2 zeros were funny because one of them was one of the cars my girlfriend's selling, and then the other one is one of her personal cars. And so
right. You could get in trouble.
She's just like,
if you.
And she's like, why am I at the bottom of the list? But one is, I'm actually, I'm not very tall, so it's kind of hard to drive some of the older cars.
Right.
Actually, both of them were kind of a struggle, but one was a De Tomaso Pantera. But I need to redrive that car because I feel like I gave that a bit of an unjust rating, partly because of my lack of experience with manual cars and the it's not quite a race clutch, but it's close. So it's.
So what did you say that was? The
that
name
one
of
was
that
a
car
zero.
again? Sorry.
De Tomaso Pantera.
Right. What is that?
So that is an Italian race car powered by Ford.
Right.
So that's basically what does that car compete with? It's kind of like the Italian Ford GT. I think that's the easiest way to explain that car.
Right. Okay.
And but like I can't reach the pedals, so it's kind of funny. But I gave that car a 0 rating because I was just frustrated with it, and at that point that was really early in the series, so I was trying to make sure that I'd never got behind on anything. So I was like, I got to drive a car whether I can drive it or not, and it was just a frustrating day. And then the other one was this Willys pickup truck. Funny enough, the 2 cars are sitting side by side in the driveway right now. But the Willys pickup truck, that one was bad too. Accidentally broke the glass in her gauge cluster because the top came off the shifter while I was driving.
Oh dear, right.
But it's got no synchros, so I shifted into first at moving a little bit too fast, and completely my fault. But the top of the shifter like vibrated and came off, and then I swatted it away from my face, and I broke the glass in that car. So I was like, this car gets a -0.
A negative, yeah. That's a bold statement.
So,
also very inconvenient, but
yeah, that was fun. But there are a couple cars that are just really difficult to drive.
yeah, I know, I can imagine. And again, picking up on something you said earlier around sort of, I think you said being around sort of hypercars or being in that scene. I was hoping you might be able to say a little bit more about, I suppose, your experience, or any sort of stories and what that scene is and how long you've sort of been around hypercars.
Yeah, I guess so. I started my Instagram in 2014, so we're 11 years in at this point. And let's see, I'm trying to think where it all kind of started. Actually, one of the earliest cars I posted on my page that got a ton of attention, even though it was a terrible photo, was of a Lamborghini Veneno. And virtually nobody has seen that car in person. And somehow I've seen 3 of the 4. And, which is crazy to think about. But one's sitting at the factory, one's in New York, one's in Miami, and I believe the 4th one's in Hong Kong. And, so I saw that car early on and posted photos of it and whatnot. And so that got attention, and then I ended up getting a camera like 6 months into having my page. And the weekend I got that camera, I went to Miami Concourse, or Miami Beach Concourse back then. It was on a golf course, and fortunately I met Brett David, who owns Lamborghini Miami, really early on with all this stuff. And I told him, hey, I'm starting this Instagram, I'm doing this other stuff. And he's like, hey, any event that you want to go to down here, like, I'll support you, I'll make sure that you get your credentials, get in, whatever. And so they were kind of the leaders in hypercars in the US like on the East Coast, and so I would go down to Miami, and he would kind of make sure that I got exposure to all sorts of stuff. He actually gave me a ride in a 918 Spider back in 2015. So it was like I've kind of been in some hypercars early.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, I mean, I would just go to a lot of the events that are around those cars. Even before that event, I went to an event in Orlando, and I met John Hennessy in end of 2014. So it was like, I was just, and I had no fear of anything, because like, I didn't realize that these significant people are supposed to be really hard to access. So I'd just go up and say hi and introduce myself as a kid. Just like, hey, like, I've seen you online, like, you're cool, like, I want to meet you, you know? But not as like you're a celebrity, you're the coolest person ever, but just like, hey, like, I want to know how you built your business. This is cool. And then over time that developed. I actually spent the summer in London in 2016, and it was funny because there were a few Americans that came over and just absolutely blew up that same summer in London. I met Stradman out there. He had 109,000 subscribers when we met, and now he has a Koenigsegg, right? So but like, just that whole summer in London, I got to car spot a bunch, and I basically saw anything and everything when I was there. And it was just like, from there it was like, okay, now I got to go to Car Week and do Goodwood and do all this other stuff to just basically see them all. And that's when Pokemon Go came out, so then it was always a game of like, gotta catch them all with hypercars. So I went and just traveled as much as I could and saw all this stuff, and so I've been like super integrated because of that. Like, I've treated it like a game. I've connected with owners and the manufacturers and whatnot from like a interest way, not as a fan per se. So it's been interesting.
No, I mean, there's a couple of really great points as well that you mentioned. Meeting these people and just being, I suppose, normal. It might be the right word there, but again, not being too much of a fangirl, and again, just sort of treating these people as people, I suppose, and sort of almost removing them from that pedestal, and just sort of talking, about how they've got to where they are is good, and I'm sure that's really appreciated as well. And then I think, tell me a little bit more about this trip that you took to London. So I know that we briefly talked about it offline. So yes, spill the details. Tell me the gossip.
Let's see. So that was summer of 2016. So I first went to the UK with my family back in 2011, and that was before I was ever into cars. So I'd see stuff and I'd be like, it's interesting, but I wasn't like obsessed like we all are now. And years later, I built that obsession, and I had an opportunity to do this like abroad internship experience in the UK. And so I was like, what else am I going to do that summer? And so it was just about 2 months, and I was right in the center of London. And I was like really center of London. I was in King's Cross. So for people that aren't from London, that's basically where like Harry Potter's platform 9 3/4 is. And it was like 15-minute train ride to all of the spots that you would see all the car spotters at. And so when I was there, I would go and meet different car spotters, and they're like, what's this American doing here for so long? Why are you seeing all the cars before us? And I would just dedicate a bunch of time to it. And so we basically had to spend a couple hours a day in a class. So we took a 4-week class about how Britain works, and then we spent 4 weeks doing an internship. And the first part of the trip was like short class, so I'd go out and I'd immediately get on car spotting and just see everything and meet all these people. And it was like interesting to the point where I was riding around with Alex Penfold and all that, so it was like very interesting because it was early, so like nobody was that huge. Even he had like a couple 100,000 followers at that point. I probably
Yeah.
had 40, 50,000. So, let's see. And like I said, I met all these people, and I went to Goodwood, and just so cool. There's a Koenigsegg 1-to-1 doing donuts, and just so many interesting cars there. And it was so much less
Yeah.
busy than it is now. So it was actually very,
Yeah.
very enjoyable to go to. So, I mean, it's still really cool, but like not like the old days. All these events are just not like the old days. There's too much access now. And yeah, so what ended up happening? I was there for the Brexit vote, so like then it got just really interesting. And
Yeah,
then I was
it
like,
did.
all right, time to go home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you did the right thing. Yeah.
but yeah, it was definitely an interesting time to be in the UK. It was still cleaner and safer to be there than it is now. There were tons and tons and tons of cars out, and that's even like
Yeah.
I was there around the time of Ramadan, so a lot of the like Middle Eastern guys would bring their cars out. It's also gold chrome cars and
Yeah.
like all the stuff that you still see reposted years and years and years later online are like those were the good days of being in London. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah. No, that's amazing to hear. And well, yeah, it's been an opportunity to ride around with some of those people and meet those people in like the very early days of, I suppose, of you starting this. Yeah, I can imagine, and it definitely has obviously been incredibly beneficial and helpful as well, long term. But I say it's interesting what you say about Goodwood as well. So obviously we were talking about Goodwood offline, about how we both really wanted to be there. But I suppose, you know, when you're watching Goodwood now, it must be a game of, oh, I drove that car, or I drove a car like that. You know, especially with some of the cars that you've driven now, and obviously the people that you've met and been surrounded by. It must be quite a different experience to me sitting there going, oh, I wish I'd driven something like that. But yeah, it's interesting. You went to Goodwood, what, 2000? Yeah, 16.
I went 2016 and 2023.
Oh, with 2023. So you went again most recently as well.
Yes, that was incredible trip too.
Was 2023 the year they debuted the names escape me. The car that's basically a Hoover. Was that the year that they debuted that at the Hill?
Let's see, what did they have at 2023? They had a bunch of interesting stuff that year. They had that like colorful Porsche car. They had that wide body Singer DLS. The green carbon Wyra R was there. The Utopia was there.
The McMurtry is what I was thinking
Let's
of.
see. They had the blue Koenigsegg Jesko was there.
Yeah, wow.
I could scroll back. It was cool. I actually got to go passenger up the hill climb that year. That was really cool.
Oh wow, what was that experience like?
That was in an M4 GTS or M4 CS or something like that. I'm trying to remember. Let's see. Let's scroll through my photos. I document literally everything. So
That's the best way to do it. Yeah.
let's see. Oh yeah, there was all sorts of interesting stuff. Lanzante had the P1 GTR in the Marlboro livery. There's a 962. There's an SLR. Zach had his Regera there. The Mission X was on display before they canceled that. They had a couple of McLaren F1s there. They had 250 GTO. They had all the Valkyries, that's right. And then they had the street legal Zonda Revolution, the Solus GT, the Rimac Nevera, the Lamborghini GT3 LM car, whatever, LMP car.
Yeah.
All sorts of crazy stuff. Where's the car I went up the hill in? That's the year it got rained out for a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad luck.
Yeah, I remember that because I think I remember Pastrana sending it up that hill in the I think it was the Subaru
Yep.
the wagon, and yeah, I mean the man is just fearless, and it was amazing to watch. And obviously last year I think he had a big crash in it, and then most recently flipped it upside down on ice. So at some point I'd love to see that car. But yeah, I do remember watching that and thinking, oh, that's a shame. But at least you managed to get up the hill, even in the weather conditions.
Oh yeah, that whole trip was crazy. So that was the end of a 3-week trip around Europe. I think we ended up seeing like 11 McLaren F1s that trip. It was kind of ridiculous.
And were you doing sort of big events around Europe as well, or just sort of meeting connections and that sort of thing, or?
It was a mixture of the two. So we started at Le Mans
Right.
Classic, and then we did 24 hours of Spa same weekend. Stopped by the Nürburgring, stopped by Zandvoort, and then we went through like Amsterdam, all over Germany. Got to drive up and down the Autobahn. We went through Switzerland, down into Italy, over to Monaco. Worked our way up to the UK. We actually toured McLaren MTC, which was amazing. And then we ended the trip at Goodwood.
That sounds, yeah, I mean...
It's called financially devastating.
Financially devastating, but every petrol head's dream, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. And it was like, I had a really, really, really good month financially beforehand. So I was just like, I want to experience this trip the way that I need to experience this. And from there on out, it's like, you know, I still get cool opportunities with stuff. I get free things here and there being an influencer. So
Yeah.
it like adds to the experience. But yeah, that was a bit of a trip.
Well, I suppose the best way is just to go all out and do it properly the first time around, so you haven't got any regrets when you look back on the trip, I'm sure.
Yeah, but now it's just like, I could go back to the events, but I'm like, I had such a good experience that one time. Like, I have to outdo it the next time, you know?
Well, you know, with this challenge, I'm sure you could get back to obviously not Goodwood now, but maybe a few events coming up. And I don't know, have you ever taken a car out on track or anything like that as part of the challenge that you've done so far?
Not yet. I've really tried to emphasize putting all the cars on public roads if I can.
Right. Okay.
Some of that might get Why, dog? No. I guess he doesn't like my idea of driving off-road. Okay.
No, I think he would. Yeah.
But, anyways, the track thing, I've definitely considered that. I mean, there's so many opportunities. I live a few hours drive away from Laguna Seca, which is kind of the famous U.S. track, or one of them. But I probably will have to drive some stuff on private roads if I really want to get some crazy things. Like, I really want to do some weird things, like a garbage truck and like a cement truck and like other things that you need, like a bus, like things that you need a commercial driver's license for. So I guess what's the British term? Lorries, right? So,
lorries, yeah.
Yeah, so
And there was me thinking you were going to say some cool race cars like a Formula One, and I was straight in with the lorries and the trucks.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think the one that kind of combines the two is I'm trying to figure out something interesting to do with F1 Vegas. So I heard they're trying to change some things up this year, but I would love to find a way to drive the safety car.
Well, yeah, I mean that would be, I mean, so I'm quite an F1 fan myself, and I think last year F1 Vegas, I think was that the one where they ended up doing like qualifying like in the middle of the night in Las Vegas time, or one of the practice sessions, like, and there was a lot of controversy, maybe a little bit of uproar, but I do like the big events like that, the attraction of it, and it just adds something.
So yeah, I went 2 years ago and last year to the one in Vegas.
Oh, nice.
2 years ago was interesting because both years were cold. People don't realize it was like 10 degrees Celsius. So it was kind of cold
really?
For what it is. I still think it should be a sunset race, but they would lose out on so much money by doing it during sunset time that they can't do it because of all the casinos. But still think it's a missed opportunity. But the race is at like 10 o'clock at night, and just the whole thing is a bit messy in that sense. But and it's cold and windy, and the viewing is not good. But it's cool because like. I mean, the first year I was there, I'm walking around and George Russell just walks by me with no security in the hotel. It was like so unique. It's so cool. It was like George Russell on one side and like DDD on the other. So it was just like weird, right? Like two completely contrasting like celebrities. But I don't know. The whole thing could be interesting this year given how close the championship is, and it might take that deep into the year to see if Lando or Oscar wins the title, and if Max goes to Mercedes.
There's so much going on. I mean, even just within the last 48 hours, obviously the news broke with Horner leaving Red Bull and all that. But yeah, it's been a really interesting season, and it's only going to get more interesting, I think.
What do you think's going to happen?
So. I don't know. I don't want to call it, especially if this is recorded. I don't want anyone watching back in 6 months' time and going, you're wrong, because that's the type of thing that would happen, right? But I mean, at the fight between the McLarens, obviously they came together in the race before last, and very lucky, I think, that they both didn't come off. Yeah. Obviously everyone can remember the Hamilton Rosberg incident, which is I don't know, a fond memory, I suppose, depending on who you support. But yeah, they were very lucky, and I think there's definitely going to be more occasions this season where they come together, and I think they've got quite a good relationship. I think Norris is one of those drivers, right, where he's very friendly, very charismatic, and it'll be interesting to see what happens if that sort of comes to blows between the two drivers.
Yeah, but all that matters is that Nico got his podium.
That was
amazing.
So that was awesome, and I think because he had the longest record, right, for not getting a podium whilst having a drive, I think it was
a long shot.
Yeah. So no, that was amazing and great to watch. But yeah, it's interesting, and obviously the Cadillac are coming in next season as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
It's going to be interesting, and then Kick Sauber's switching to Audi, right?
Yeah.
Just the whole thing is going to be interesting. I'm sad Daniel Ricciardo's not coming back. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, him and Bottas.
Bottas confirmed with Cadillac, didn't he?
So I'm not sure if he confirmed it, but he had that video, didn't he? Where he was. We walked past the Cadillac. He was like, "Oh, that's a nice seat," and they said, "You're going to sit in it," and he was like, "Not yet." Yeah. So, but they also reckon that he may go to.
The whole thing is just going to be up in the air this year. It's so interesting.
Well, it's definitely making it a bit more exciting for sure.
And none of the cars work for next year. Have you seen that with the testing? Only Mercedes has gotten the car to work, and it's still slower than an F2 car.
So,
it's going to make it way more competitive, I think.
I like the I like the competitive nature of it. I don't like DRS. I think that makes it too easy on a lot of tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want to see that close racing, but also, I mean, the size of these cars now, they just seem to be getting bigger and bigger every single year. Yep. I love watching Monaco. Not for the racing, but for the whole event, that entertainment value of it. And, there is usually a lot of interesting things that happen in that Monaco race. Not most recently, though, because, again, they had the thing where you had to stop twice, and
dumb.
Everyone just pit at the beginning of the race and then created this massive train of cars.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious, actually. Looking back on it, and even watching it, you're just thinking, what a mess. Like, what's going on? But yeah, I mean, it's definitely bringing that entertainment value back, and I think, you know, Drive to Survive's probably helped that a lot, right? In terms of I've given those behind the scenes views and access. I don't think I've watched it since maybe the second or third season. But yeah, it's definitely helped bring F1 back, back into the top spot, I suppose, or you know, brought a lot more fans to it. But I, after having watched the Monaco race, I watched the Indy 500 because I think that was on the same day.
Same day.
And I'm not a massive IndyCar fan. I don't know too much about it, but I was watching. I was really entertained, like the whole event again. And then I started trying to watch a couple of Indy races after that as well. I watched, I think it was Detroit, the Detroit circuit, and yeah, I mean, I've always sort of grown up watching Formula One. My father was always up at, you know, 3-4 o'clock in the morning watching it. And yeah, so the Formula One's been, you know, in terms of open wheel racing, that's been it, right? I've never really paid much attention, but yeah, I mean, for anyone listening that's an F1 fan that hasn't tried it with Indy, like, definitely have a look, because I don't know, I thought it was, cars are very different and they're set up very different, because obviously they do the oval racing, right, and they run a completely different setup from doing it on the track. And then, well, F1 track racing, the tracks are very smooth, right? There's no bumpiness to it at all. It's very smooth. The Detroit circuit was amazing because they're just bouncing up and down, traveling down, doing well over 100, 150, whatever it is. And yeah, just bouncing around, and it's just yeah. So I've got a massive detour there, but yeah, really interesting.
No, it's true, and I got to meet one of the IndyCar drivers last year, and became closer with him, and it was cool because he got to show me. He actually let me hold the steering wheel of the car, and like walk me through all the different buttons and everything. And it's just like, it's similar-ish to an F1 steering wheel as far as I know, but it's just fascinating to think, like, these guys are going as fast as they possibly can around a circuit, and they can just manage all these buttons without even really thinking about it and do all this stuff. And it is far beyond the capacity of what I'm doing, just driving any random car on the road, and even that is a struggle in its sense. So it's kind of funny.
Well, that's it. Like, I quite like doing the sim racing, but every time I try and change a setting mid corner, I crash, and it's maybe it's just me, all right? But it's completely. It's amazing, right? The speed, they're having conversations, doing all these settings. It's it is amazing, but it's great that you managed to get a feel of the Indy race wheel as well. I mean, yeah, I bet that was an experience. Yeah,
and it's cool because there's an Indy race like 30-minute drive from here in Long Beach, and so that's cool because it's it was crazy because he ended up starting last because he crashed during qualifying, and then he ended up finishing, I think, 13th that race. They made up half the pack in that race, and then he just went viral the other day he came on the podium at Road America, and a fan threw him a can of beer, and he caught it and started drinking it, running around the track. It was so funny. So
what is
IndyCar is underrated.
Yeah. Well, that is fair play. That's how it should be done. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. No, but yeah, it's good. Like, again, you know, because IndyCar's always on quite late for us over in the UK. But what made it really, I was amazed, was that one of the drivers, and I don't know the driver's name, but he was doing the Indy race, and he was going to finish that race and then go to the NASCAR. There was a NASCAR event on as well, right? What
was it, Mid 400, I think?
Yeah,
Vegas.
The Coca-Cola or something, was it? Yeah,
There's
and he was
so
going to
many
finish
things,
the Indy race, jump in a plane to go be in the NASCAR, to then do the NASCAR race. Which, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Like,
I mean, it's
really,
kinda like
really cool.
Max was trying to miss out on the Canadian Grand Prix to do Le Mans as Franz Hermann. So same thing, I think.
Yeah.
And that was
almost.
like, who was that? I think it was Kimi Räikkönen. He won some race and then, like, later that day, went and won a skiing competition. I think it was Kimi that did that in like 2007. He won like the Australian Grand Prix and then like won some skiing competition or something. I forget what race it was, but it's like ridiculous.
Yeah, it must be. I don't know if I'd. Well, no, I would actually. I think anyone would love to have, like, just be a racing driver, right? Just race fast cars around. But I think for any normal person stepping into those shoes for a day, I don't know. I think a lot of people would swap back at the end.
Yeah, you know, a car I would never ever drive is a drag car. Drag racing, scary.
Yeah, it's because if it goes wrong, it goes very wrong. There's no in between, right? It's
Yeah. And I've been inside one of them.
Oh, okay.
They had one on display at an event. They had like a way to test your reaction time, which is crazy. It was fun.
Yeah.
I think I tried it a few times. I figured out how the machine worked, and I ended up getting 0.007 seconds or something ridiculous like that. And like, it just doesn't feel right. But I've been to one of the drag racing events here. First of all, it's like the most American thing in the world. But it's crazy because the fuel, like the fumes from the fuel are so strong in the paddock that you're just crying when you walk around. Like, your eyes water up instantly. And then the sound is, I've never heard any sound like that ever before. And like, I was always into monster trucks, so I'm actually trying to figure out how to drive a monster truck for the series. But the sound is so much more intense than monster trucks. It's crazy. So I'm like, that one's a no for me.
Yeah, so I went to Santa Pod, which is, I suppose, the famous like drag strip in the UK, I suppose. Years and years and years ago when I was like just a kid. I can't really remember it too well. But I remember going to watch Monster Jam. So they did a tour, and my brother, my cousin, my father took us to watch Monster Jam in what at the time I think was the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. It's now called the Principality, but closed roof, and the noise was deafening. It was it was so cool, again, because not something that you see in the UK. So to just see these massive machines just throwing it, well, yeah, I mean, I hope you get the opportunity to drive one, because I think just like the experience would be amazing. But just seeing them throw it around, with all the other trucks just parked up in a circle around it as well, it's like it's crazy. But yeah, really interesting. I mean, I was looking at this. Sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say, it's just such a unique experience. I wonder if it's possible to drive it.
Well, I mean, you're definitely in the right place. And I think with your connections, I mean, definitely put the shout out now. If anyone has a monster truck, like, get it on the series. And I look forward to seeing those videos come out about it.
Yeah, that one's interesting too, because the steering wheel only turns the front wheels, and then you have a different joystick next to it to steer the rear wheels. So it looks quite difficult to figure out at first. Yeah.
But I think
it's like giant.
Yeah, but I think given the list of cars, so I'm just looking through the list now, there's so many on there. I think you'd be okay. But I wanted to ask, towards the bottom of the list, you've got some Japanese icons, and I think you probably know where I'm going with this question. But you've got the R32 as, I think that's what, like the 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
Maybe not the worst car that you've driven, although on this scale it definitely looks like it.
Yeah,
And then
R32
you
and
a bit further
R34
up.
down there.
Yeah, you've got the R34 further up. So, I mean, tell me why those icons are rated so low.
So, yeah, so I have a, after, after he saw my video, I have another friend with an R34 that's like, you need to drive mine and like actually experience a real one.
Right.
Because the one that I drove was heavily modified and just very difficult to drive.
Oh.
So I think that was part of it. The R32 is another YouTuber's car, Jack Automotive, and he is much taller than me, and his seats are on rails. So like I couldn't really reach the pedals in that one either. So
Right.
once I actually, like, what did I put behind me? I think I put like 3 hoodies or whatever behind me so I could sit closer, and like it was very uncomfortable. Once the car was in drive, it was a fantastic driving car, but just because I can't fit in the car, it was not a good experience, so I rated it pretty low.
Yeah.
Also because I know all the JDM fanboys would get really upset about it, and I like trolling them.
Yeah, they will.
But the R34, I actually, it had a race clutch, and then it had some 600 horsepower engine swap, and I believe it was a GTT, not a GTR.
Right.
And so like the whole thing was kind of funky in how it was set up. However, once I got that car going, I mean, that turbo flutter is incredible. And, you know, I wasn't exactly in a great environment for it. I'm trying to use a race clutch on hills and driving around city streets with red lights everywhere. Like, so it was more of I think the environment for that was so wrong that I couldn't appreciate the car for what it needed to be.
Yeah.
But that being said, and plus it's right-hand drive car on right side of the road is confusing. So it's like all of those combined is just like, all right, I'm a little disoriented here. So I think those cars naturally would rate much higher if things were set up more properly. But yeah, that explains that.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair explanation. I mean, I say looking through this list now, it's
some of them don't make sense.
well, yeah, but also it's like playing, I don't know, like top trumps as a kid or something. Like just looking through the list of cars that you've that you've been in, and then the other thing as well. So the third car that you've driven was a Ferrari 512, and that's so you've got a 5-page list, okay, of all the cars that you've gone through. That's on the same page as the R32 and the R34, and it was only the third car you've driven. So what went wrong there? Because
okay, yeah. So let's see. That was January 3rd, right? So. And that one, at the beginning of the year, I was basically just driving one car per day. And it's like, what am I going to drive for New Year's Day, right? So I drove my car. And then the next day, my friend was like, hey, I have a Cybertruck, like, take it out. And I was like, okay, cool. And when I posted my first video, I had like 50 different people offer me cars. So it was really helpful. But I just, for convenience, I just started going through my girlfriend's inventory, and she had a 512 Boxer for sale. And so given that I hadn't had much experience with manual for like years prior to driving that car, I drove I drive different stuff at different times, but it was like I was so rusty at that point, and I hop in that car, and that one has a finicky clutch too, and I can't really like drive properly given the pedal situation, because older Ferraris have a very deep clutch. So not like you really need to push the clutch in 100% of the way when shifting, but like, you know, last thing I want to do is destroy a clutch on a car for sale. And so I was like extra cautious with it. And it's, you know, not that the car didn't drive well. It was just, I was nervous. It was hot. It was like absurdly hot for January here. It was like 20 degrees. And then car has no air conditioning. And plus I'm driving like stressed out because I don't want to do anything to this car, even though I'm under her insurance. Like, that was a little stressful. So if I drove that car again, I'd probably appreciate it more than before, because you know, flat 12 engine is kind of cool, and well, quote unquote. But yeah, it's funny. Some of the stuff on that last page is hilarious, because like my friend's so upset about me giving her Charger Red Eye a low rating, and I will find similar cars to hers and purposely rate them higher just to upset her. So
Yeah.
like things like that. Hummer EV was just atrocious. It was hilarious. What else is on here? I drove a golf cart. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, and capitalized. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I actually drove a golf car, which I think is on page 1.
Yeah, I mean, some of the
which
ones
I
you've
bought
got on
that
page
thing.
1.
So
Oh,
I
really?
bought this, I ended up, so it was funny because I was always like weird about messaging people on Facebook Marketplace to just drive a car and not be interested in it.
Right.
But then this guy posted this thing, and it was a literal putting green that you can drive. And I grew up playing golf, so I was interested in this thing anyways. I didn't even look at the price or anything with it. I just messaged the guy. I was like, I want to drive this. And he's like, I live down the street. Like, by all means, take it out. And then he's like, yeah, I'm listing it for this price. And I was like, that's really not a lot of money. I was expecting it to be like, you know, at least like way more money, because I just wasn't thinking about it. And like, and he's like, yeah, but like, I'll give it to you for even like, you know, 10% less than that. And I was like, that's tempting. And then I bought it, and I was just like, I could turn this into a fun project, and plus it would be good to own a manual car, especially if I'm driving all this other stuff. And now I've disassembled it, and I've been way too slow to edit and post stuff for a YouTube channel, but that's part of the goal.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's yeah. I mean, that's cool. Very cool. And again, some of the other cars that you've got, like you've got Boop 750 Spider.
Oh yes. If anyone doesn't know who Boop14 is on Instagram, they should. She is an icon. She's the first person to like and comment on every post in the car industry. Yeah, it's crazy.
Shout out Boop. And then you've got the S Club Tesla 300 SL as well, which I suppose, looking at that list, is probably one of the more unique ones. Is it fair to say that you've got sort of on that first page?
Probably, yeah.
Out of a very, like, you know, with the Koenigsegg's, the Prius, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. So, out of the cars that you've driven, and the answer to this might be pretty simple, right? But like, what car would you want the most? And is it a case of it's the Koenigsegg because it's rated the highest, or would you, I don't know, would you want the Koenigsegg, like daily drive it around, that sort of thing?
I would,
like, as a daily driver,
that car.
Yeah, that's the better question. That's the better question.
It's funny. So my daily right now is a Tesla Model 3 Performance.
Right.
And it's funny because if you have the ability to charge it at home, it is definitely the best daily driver car.
Yeah.
The amount of torque that you get, I mean, I basically have a comfort 4-seater supercar. You know, like, it's as fast as any supercar. I mean, I've kept up with a BMW M2 up to 150 plus miles per hour, which was obviously on a closed road, which I guess in the US we say we go to Mexico, right? And then, let's see, and then, I mean, it's so much understeer though. Like, I would never drive that on a racetrack. The brakes are terrible, but in terms of just driving around, it's like, if you wanted, I mean, you know how reckless we drive in America, like just to rip through traffic and lane split and all this other stuff. I mean, it's the perfect car for that because it feels small, it drives quick, it's amazing. But in terms of like other dailyable stuff on here, let's see, let's take a quick look. I really liked the Ford Raptor and the Audi RS6. RS6 was an incredible car. It doesn't feel as big as it looks.
No.
I would daily a Urus. Yesterday I just drove an RS Q8, and I thought it would match the Urus, but it's much slower. It doesn't feel nearly as supercar-esque.
Yeah, I was going to say the Urus is. I didn't like them when they first came out. I wasn't a fan, but I've seen more, and then yeah, like it's a practical Lamborghini, right?
Yeah.
Like what more can you ask for?
It's great. I did not like the Huracan.
No, did you not?
No. And then I drove a Revuelto, but it was broken.
Yeah.
So I got all the sound but none of the power. So that would have been. I need to, now that he's got his car fixed, I need to go take that out again and actually see what that's like. But it's like, you're even just inside the car at startup, it is so loud. Because the engine's right behind your head, and it's loud. So that would be it's a really interesting driving experience. What else was dailyable? The Grenadier was interesting. It's got a strange steering, how that works. So you have to like undercorrect your steering.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, because they've sent it up Goodwood a couple of times in them, and they are big, but they do look awesome.
What's interesting is even just the mid-tier cars from 2025 are so much faster than even supercars from like 2010. That 15-year difference made cars so quick nowadays. It's strange because it's like you have these expectations like, oh, this car's gonna be so fast, and then you put your foot down and you're like, come on. So, but it's like not every car needs to be fast. Like I'd rather drive a slow car fast. One car to mention on here that I haven't talked about yet, which is right towards the top of the list, is the Honda S2000. That is one of my favorite cars. I learned how to drive manual in that car. So that car has a special spot in my heart, but I can't wait to drive an old NSX.
I love old Japanese cars with the pop-up headlights. The NSX.
Drove the new NSX. That was different. I haven't posted that yet, but the launch control on that car is crazy because it has the electric motors.
Right.
Oof. Crazy.
No, so we the last guest that we had on owns an MR2, an S2000, a WRX STI. They own an RX-7 as well, he was saying how fun the S2000 is, to drive, especially on those sort of country roads that that we have, right? So it's good to see that there's a Japanese icon up there, but even on the next page you've got the Civic Type R.
That was
on
fun.
the top of that list as well. Yeah, Civics are. Can you remember which model it was that you?
That was
you drove off that.
What's the newest one called? The L something 5.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's the newest one. It was 2024.
Yeah.
I just found a typo in my post too. Love it.
Oh dear. Don't call it out. Everyone's going to be looking there for the typo.
Good, that means more impressions on the post. Which is even funny, that's a
100%.
carousel. And that has, 58,000 views.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I really want to get you back on. In, I don't know, how many days you've got? That was
170 days, right at the end of the year.
So, definitely let's get you back on, because, we could definitely talk about this for hours and hours and hours.
For sure.
And I'm sure that there's going to be some stories that develop between now and then. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And in terms of, I suppose, a bit of a shout out to where people can find you. So obviously you've got Keys to the Jungle on Instagram, and did you say TikTok as well, right?
Yeah, so Instagram, TikTok, I'm just going to start posting again. So I only posted like 1 or 2 videos on TikTok, but I basically built my TikTok to like 110K and then I abandoned it. So that will be active again soon. And then I've Keys to the Jungle everywhere. So like Facebook, YouTube, let's see, Snapchat, I don't know, what, like all the platforms. So
Yeah.
Threads, for whatever reason,
Wow.
have like, I got on Threads early, so I have like 30-something thousand followers on there.
Yeah, because
I
in
just don't use
total
Twitter
across,
or X.
yeah, as I say, in total across all your social media, you've got to be, what, close to, because you've got over 250,000 on Instagram, right? So you've got to have what?
Yeah, it's 410,000, I think, something like that.
Yeah. Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and I definitely want to get you on again soon because, yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see these videos and yeah, catch up again to get more of those stories. And if anyone owns a monster truck that that wants to get that driven by yourself, then yeah, do reach out. But yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.